going on today, guys? So, gonna do a little bit different of a video today, a little different than what I'm used to doing. But I get a lot of requests for people asking about my bike setup and all that, and I know there's a lot of bike setup tutorials on YouTube where people just kind of give you their setup and you kind of run with it. But I wanted to make a video that kind of goes into the more details of stuff, what it does, and the end goal is to have you guys setting your own bikes up and stuff like that, and just understanding what everything kind of does. So this video may be a little bit long, but just bear with me. I think by the end of it, you'll walk away with some information that will help you guys out a lot. So let's just get right into it. Let's go to a track. I really have been liking these like MXGP tracks, man. A lot of these tracks, they don't get played, man. Keegums, Neckwind, if I'm pronouncing these right. All these tracks, man, good tracks. They just don't get played. So let's just let's get into it. Okay, we're at the track. First thing I do on any new bike, I have, haven't rode this bike here or anything, don't have a setup for it here, nothing. First thing I'm going to do, I like running my tire pressure pretty much 10.9, 10.2 everywhere I go. Then I'm going to go over here to the motor. On a 250F, I pretty much run the aggressive mapping everywhere. Other than that, we'll save this real quick. So we have a start point here, YouTube Mx, cool. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to check the sag of the bike. Okay. Right now, the bike's 101, 102 sag. The thing with sag is, think of it as a teeter-totter, right? If you run less sag in the back, your rear sag, the more you go up in the back, it's going to put more weight on the front of the bike. It's a good thing and a bad thing. It depends on what the track you're riding, etc. If you run less sag in the back, it may turn better, but it may be a little bit less stable on the high speed stuff like that, versus if you sag the bike a little bit lower in the back. It's a trade-off. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more stable on the straightaways for sure, and the really high speed stuff for sure, but it may not turn as good. Motocross, I always tend to run 110 millimeters of sag. Anything from 108 to 100, even 112 is usually what I run. So that's what I'm going to run on this, just because that's always like my baseline. So I'm going to show you how we do that. Most people would think, oh, we'll just soften the spring in the back and that'll give us our sag, which it would, but I don't want to mess with the spring rate yet. So what you do is right here, preload. Preload is essentially, there's a preload ring on the shock that adjusts the tension on the spring. It's not preload like you're thinking, like MX vs ATV Unleashed, like the preload. It's not that. It's literally a ring that pushes tension on your shock that will change your sag. That's what it's for. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down just 2 on the preload, right? Haven't changed the spring rate at all. Now let's save it, and let's look at our sag now. Bam. 109, 110. I'm cool with that. Okay? So, one thing too I recommend doing is when you're setting a bike up for the first time, or if you're new at it or whatever, don't go in here and start messing with a bunch of stuff at one time. Because the thing you don't want to do is you mess with a bunch of this stuff, and you do find something that works for you, but you don't know what it was. You're like, man, the bike feels decent, but I don't know exactly what I did that was the determining factor of that. So let's just start with that. Let's just go to the track here. We're riding at 2017 Keegums. I am not sure who made this track, but it's definitely an underrated track. You don't see people playing this kind of stuff on the server list, which they should. I mean, this is a fun track, and there's a lot of tracks like this too. You can see this track's got a lot of high speed whoop kind of sections. Right off the bat, I'm noticing this bike's kind of bouncy, which is a big complaint of a lot of people in this game. The bike's bouncy. As you can see, I land off that, and my bike probably lifts off the ground. Did it there kind of too again. Another thing too, people they always think their bike's too soft in this game. They think that's the reason why it bounces. That's not the case. It's a lot of it has to do with the bump settings, and we'll get into that. But Paboso, he had the bright mind of when your bike bottoms out in this game, it sounds like a semi-truck crashing into another semi-truck. So let's see if we can make that sound. Right there, you heard that. Literally sounds like a car accident happening. So if I go around a track on a stock spring rate, and I don't hear that noise other than when I completely OJ something, I don't go any stiffer. I try to run my bikes on the national stuff usually as soft as I can because I'm wanting to get all the suspension travel out of the bike. If you're running it stiff, yeah, it might like not bottom out, or you might not get that sound, but you don't know if you're getting all your suspension travel. Like right there, I cased that and I heard a little smack. But if I'm going around the track and I'm not hearing it, other than when I make mistakes or overshoot something, then I'm not really inclined to change that. So let's just do another little couple sections here. So let's just work on that wallowy, bouncy, typical MX bike stuff that everybody wants to get rid of. So your bike has 2 bump settings. Actually, we'll go over rebound first, because your rebound is essentially how fast your fork extends. So once it compresses, it's how fast it extends back. So if you think about it, when your bike's super bouncy, chances are it's extending too fast, right? You want to slow the rebound down. So whenever it compresses, it takes it longer to, extend back out. So what we're gonna do, we'll go here to our rebound, and Paboso put these little notes in here, and I think that's new for 16 because I don't remember those being there before. But anyway, we're gonna go to the rebound, and we're gonna slow it down. As you can see, more soft or more clicks equals softer, quicker. So we're gonna do the opposite of that. We want to slow it down. So we're gonna go 6 in the front. And actually, I'm a big believer of if I'm adjusting something, I move it quite a bit to where I want to be able to feel it. You know what I mean? Whether I move it too much or whatever, but I still want to adjust it pretty big to where I can feel the changes I'm doing. So we're gonna go do the same thing here. We'll bump it down 2. We'll double check our sag. We'll save it. This shouldn't change our sag, which it doesn't. Cool. We're gonna get on the track again, and we're gonna ride a little bit more. And let me know if you guys are into this kind of stuff, man. I don't mind doing these kinds of videos. Maybe if I get another, more requests, maybe we'll do something on a different bike. If you guys want to see like a Honda or a Husky, we'll just pick a different track and we'll start from scratch and see what we can come up with here. And this isn't going to be like the ideal setup for you guys, but I'm hoping this at least gives you an idea or like to make a base, because every track you go to, you're going to change your setup a little bit from track to track. As you can see, it's already a little bit less bouncy already. Looks a little bit more planted. This bike's really good stock, so like I should have probably picked a bike that was a little bit shittier. Like we should have done a TM, but nobody rides a TM. So I've noticed that the Honda and the Kawasaki, they're both pretty solid, other than getting rid of the Paboso bounce. You can see I'm getting a little bit of bounciness, like not the Paboso bounce, but anytime I go through this soft, or not even like the soft, but like the real fast little chatter bumps and stuff, you see my bike kind of moving around a little bit. I'll show you what I do for that here in a second. I'm wanting to see if I can find some more rough patches or something to kind of exaggerate that. Or as you can see, when I hit those, the bike bounces pretty violent. So the bump settings will kind of come into play on that here in a second. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, anytime I hit a little bump, this thing likes to get a little crazy, a little bit of bouncy. But when I land on big jumps like that now, the typical Paboso bounce is kind of gone. So yeah, so, okay, let's get rid of that little high-speed chop kind of harshness. So to do that, I usually mess with the bump settings. So as you can see, to make this easy, your front fork has 1 bump setting. Your rear suspension has 2, a slow and a fast. Easiest way to understand that: fast bump, slow bump. Fast bump is for basically like what it says, fast. It's anything that the suspension's moving really fast at. So like whoop sections, anything harsh, braking bumps, etc. The slow bump is for more stuff like those big wallowed out whoops in the back of Keegan's we were just going through, jump faces, anything kind of like that. So, and then the bump setting in the front suspension, it's kind of a general thing. So we'll adjust that accordingly. as far as bump settings, we're gonna make it a little bit softer because I feel like it's a little bit too stiff when I'm hitting those chatter bumps. That's why it's kind of making the bike bounce around a little bit. So we're gonna do a pretty big adjustment. We're gonna do from 9, we'll just do it 12 in the front. And as you can see, the little note, more soft or more clicks equals softer, right? So we're gonna do that. And then in the back, it's the fast bump. I usually do this on every bike I ride, but I run these pretty high. So fast bump, as you can see, when we're going through the chatter, it was bouncing around. We're gonna move this thing pretty big. We're gonna move it to 3.25. And then the slow bump on those big Mowgli whoops in the back, you saw me kind of getting bounced around. So we're gonna move this up also, probably 12 clicks. Then we're gonna double check. Actually, hang on, we gotta save first. Then we gotta test. Still at 100, 910, so our sag is still good. So now let's do a lap with that. Trying not to make this video super long, but it's kind of hard to jam all this into one video. I've been wanting to make a video like this for a while. It's just trying to get it into a video and make it not super boring for you guys or super long is pretty hard, as I completely just messed that up. We're just gonna ignore that. Nothing to see. Almost just washed the front end out there. Props to you guys who can like ride and commentate at the same time, because that's pretty. I'm not the best multitasker in the world. As you can see, when we went through that turn that time, the bike almost didn't even leave the ground. Like, it was just planted. So that's good. Basically, I'm just looking for it when I hit any of these braking bumps for it to be doing any kind of just really bad bouncing. Which it's not yet, so looking good in that department. You guys remember what it looked like last time we went through these mogul whoops? Let's see if we can make it look any better. Much better. As you can see, when I was hitting those just now, I wasn't bouncing like I was before, this harshly. It was soaking them up. Cool. Do notice this bike's a little weird on its steering, and that'll probably be the next little thing I go over. We'll just get right into that right now, actually. So far so good on that. Okay, so now we're in the steering geometry section of the bike setup here. This is the part where I get a lot of questions about. So there's 3 main things I use to get my bike to steer better. That's your fork offset, fork height, and swing arm length. Rod length, I usually don't mess with it because I don't really know for 100% certain what it is. I've always thought that it might have been the linkage rod right here. Could be wrong. If anybody knows, gladly put in the comments and enlighten me. But to make this super simple, as you can see, there's no notes on these to kind of tell you what it is. But your fork offset essentially is how much you're pushing the axle closer to the frame and away from the frame. If I can make this as simple as I can, imagine drawing a line from the center of your steer tube right here and going straight down and then going straight across to the axle, right? You're moving it in and out, right? The closer you move the front axle towards the frame, it's going to make the forks, the angle of them, steeper, which is going to make the bike turn better. If you go, let's just say you go too aggressive, then the bike's going to feel really twitchy. It's going to be real unpredictable, especially when you're going fast down like whooped out straightaways and stuff like that. Versus if you push the front end of the bike out like an old school chopper, you know, where it's just super slack. The forks are doing some stuff like this. It's going to be stable in a straight line, but when you go to turn it, it's going to be a handful. It's not going to want to turn, and it's probably going to feel pretty weird when it turns. So anyway, fork offset. So the lower you go on the offset right here, the slacker or the more mellow, or I should say, it pulls the front wheel away from the frame. So you're making it more mellow, which is more stable, right? We're wanting to make it turn a little better. So I'm going to bring that front end closer to the frame. So I'm going to take my fork offset. I'm going to raise it up. Max they'll let us do is 27. I'm going to go 26 just because like I said, I like to do big adjustments here. We're going to save it. We're going to go to done. Let's go to track. Just ride around like this. Okay, let's just do a couple sections. Keep the video from being outrageously long here. Definitely turns a lot better. And I don't have the front end doing no weird stuff, no weird pushing or anything like that. It's a little twitchy, so I may bring it down one notch on that fork offset. Turns pretty damn good right now, but that's gonna be all up to you guys how aggressive you want it to turn. As you can see, the suspension so far from what we've done here, not bad. I mean, I could ride this and not be too upset about it. Yeah, thing turns pretty good. And like right now, I'm not having any issues with this bike pushing the front end or doing anything weird, but I'll show you guys some settings here. So, like I said, fork offset's what we did just now. Changed the fork angle, made it steeper, turns better. Fork height, if we look at right here, all fork height is you can see the top of the triple clamp right there in the green, and you can see that little bit of fork tube sticking out the top. That's your fork height. Fork height is the measurement from the top of the triple clamp to the top of the actual fork itself. That's that 5 millimeters. So basically, you adjusting this, so say you want to make it 10 millimeters. 10 millimeters, you're going to slide it up, right? You're increasing the gap up here. So you're in turn sliding the forks up in the triple clamp, which in turn brings the front end of the bike down, which changes the balance of the bike. It will change sag a little bit. But for example, say I'm at a track and I got a flat corner and there's no ruts in it, and I'm just going through it and my front end just keeps falling out from underneath me. It just keeps blowing out. And what I would assume then is that the front end doesn't have enough weight on it. It's light. So what you could do to kind of counteract that is you could bring the forks up, lower the front end of the bike down. So now that, you know, say in an extreme case, your bike would be stink bug, like a dragster, but let's just think of it that way. If you bring the forks up a little bit, it's going to put a little bit more weight bias on that front end. So when you're going around that flat corner, it's more inclined to grip. You know, when your front end's washing out on flat corners with no ruts like that, most of the time it's because the front end's light. So you doing that will improve that. And also, if you go too much with that, if you put too much weight on the front end, it's going to blow out from underneath you. So like I said, you just got to sit there and play with it until you find what works for you. Just knowing what it does is going to help you guys out a lot. That was the whole goal of this video. I just want to kind of go through here, show you guys settings. This isn't going to be, it's supposed to be a video that, oh, my setup's the God setup, here you guys go. This is just kind of familiarizing you guys with all these settings, what they do, that way you can sit here and you can experiment yourself. And you might find something that works for you that's completely different than what I have right here. That's fine. So yeah. Let's go back in here. Swing arm length. It's not like you're putting an extended swing arm on this thing like a hill climb bike. Literally, the swing arm length adjustment is right there. It's your axle block, sliding it forward and back. think of it this way: what's easier to make a turn at a signal light, a semi truck or a Honda Civic? A Honda Civic is, because the wheelbase is a lot smaller. So if you extend the wheelbase on your bike, it may make it a little bit more stable on a motocross track or something like that, because your wheelbase is a little bigger, may handle a little bit better in straight line, but you may be taking a little bit of cornering away from it. Versus if you ran it, less, you're bringing the back end closer in, you're shortening your wheelbase. It may handle or turn better, but it may take a little bit of handling away from it. That's all personal preference. Usually on motocross, I run 2. Just because most motocross tracks in this game, they're pretty high speed. I'm not really, I don't feel like I can't get enough turning out of the bike just by adjusting these. So I usually run that at 2, and I get my turning with these. So yeah. Let's kind of finish this video off. We'll just run a lap right here real quick. If you guys want to see more videos like this, man, just drop a comment down below. Let me know. Subscribe. If there's a certain bike you guys want me to set up, feel free to put it down there. If I get enough requests for that bike, we'll do another video. Bike and a track. You guys put down what bike you want me to do, what track you want to see it at. Maybe we can make it happen. I usually don't do these kinds of videos, but like I said, I don't mind it. I've always been one of those guys. I just kind of want to help people out. I see a lot of people struggling with this game with bike setups and all that. So I hope this is a little bit of assistance in that department. Well, I appreciate you guys checking out the video today. Like I say, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one, man. Thanks.